Inside the house we have our beautiful brother Shaun. As you know, Shaun was on form Sunday, talking about pension, trust, wills, and Shaun's been working tirelessly, to promote an event, get to as many people. I think his mission is to save everybody, and bit by bit, day by day, he's definitely started the process. So, I know he's on the right mission, And you see, what I like about his brother, that, I judge people, not what they're saying, but what they're doing. And he's doing tremendous work about the place. So anyway, the lifelink number, I know that people are supposed to be phoning from about 11, but the lifelink number is 07960 239 493. I know a couple people are eager to phone in. So if you was at the event, please give us your feedback. And yeah, and we're talking about finance, pension, trust and wills. Also, we're talking about relationship. In fact, I just realized that Mark's supposed to be phoning in as well, so he'll be supposed to phone about this time. Getting phone a bit later on, because we want to start getting the ball rolling. Okay then. Anyway, Shaun, take us away, man. Give us your feedback. Sunday, how you find it, etc.
Well, before I do, I just want to say thank you again, Brother Dougie, for allowing me to come on air with you, and for everything yourself and the Find Your Voice team did to make Sunday a great success. And to everybody who came out as well, it was wonderful to see a real mixture in terms of age demographic. There were many elders and also children who enjoyed the day and made the most of the the community spirit that was there. And I just want to thank you once again for everything, and to all of the Find Your Voice team, the gentleman who opens the door to us and allows us to use the venue. I mean, what can I say about that man? He works tirelessly. And with the rest of the team who make it happen every single month. And it looks as if nobody's working hard. It just all runs so seamlessly, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But when you stop, take a step back and have a look, you can see that there are many people who are really dedicating themselves to make the event happen. And I just want to say, right. Give thanks to them, and give thanks to my brother Rafat, who sat here next to me, for his wisdom and his research. You can tell he's a man who takes this particular issue seriously, and I certainly will be signing the petition and be encouraging people I know to be signing the petition, because as I speak further with Brother Rafat and understand the the human rights issues that we could be faced with with this new government. But look, these are all relative things, and that's why from a financial point of view, I am very much on a mission, because we as a community, in terms of our economical strength and stability, it's based on the actions that we take now. Same as Brother Rafat next to me was saying, we have to take action on certain things. And I hope that giving my presentation, I wasn't able to finish it, and there's still a lot more I want to share, which I'll be doing at this part 2. Part 2, yeah. Which is taking place.
By popular demand, we're having a part 2 on the 27th, if I'm not mistaken. Let you know right now, 27th, because on the 28th, we're doing events on the 28th as well. A whole weekend of activities. So, and then, 27th, I want to check the dates. So
if you check the dates and let everybody know, but I know certainly we may need to be looking at a bigger venue at some stage. But I really like the venue. I like the fact that it offered people the opportunity to have stalls and for people to come and buy from other African businesses.
Let me just tell the date. The date is definitely the 27th, the part 2, and that'll be at the Part View Academy, the same venue, same place. I encourage people to get tickets early now, you know what I mean? so there's no confusion. Remember I was telling you, you must get your tickets and get there. Well, we had this little hiccup still because people was there early, but there was no activities there because it was on a Sunday. It was a church activity, and we never saw that, you know. So we had to wait a little bit, a good half an hour, well, nearly an hour for that. But apart from that, you know, it was a full house. Summer brother, yep. But the 20, and also on the 28th, we're having a health seminar at Chestnut Community Centre. But I will mention a little bit about that a little bit later on. So continue the talk.
What I would like to do is encourage anybody who's listening who attended the event to call in if they've got any questions that they were unable to ask me on the day. It was really, really busy. But by calling in, you'll find that it helps. If it doesn't help yourself, it will help somebody else who's listening. And, you know, my philosophy is that no question is a silly question. There's no such thing as a silly question, no matter how profound it may be. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we can only take action based on, you know, the information that we have. And so I would encourage anybody who's listening to call in, and I'm sure Brother Dougie, you can give out the number again later. But my take on the event was that it was very nice to see elders coming out and having a good understanding of how trusts work and how a trust can ensure generational bloodline wealth for their families, and ensure that no matter what arises in the future, everything that they've worked for stays in the bloodline. And what I'll be talking about at the next event, and going into more depth and detail about pension trusts, which I unfortunately didn't get to touch on. But pension trusts, I'll be talking about lasting power of attorney, how important it is to have a lasting power of attorney, and why. Now, there are two types of lasting power of attorney, and I'll spend some time speaking about both of them and why it is so important. I mean, it's just as important as writing a will. I mean, everybody must prepare and stipulate a lasting power of attorney so that somebody can act on their behalf, God forbid, should anything happen and they lose mental capacity. So it's really important that everybody comes out to the event. And I'll be talking about lasting power of attorney. I'll also be talking about how some of the families we work with, Brother Dougie, they've been actively engaged in legacy planning for a few generations now. And you know, there are different strategies. One strategy in particular I'll be talking about is why and when, more importantly, when can skipping a generation be very effective in terms of family wealth building, particularly when you have property as the asset class that will be passed from generation to generation. There are specific reasons and specific strategies and times when skipping a generation in terms of inheriting property is very, very effective, allowing further wealth to be developed for the family. So I'll be talking about that. Certainly come along to that if that is something you're interested in not only preserving family wealth but also growing family wealth where property is concerned.
Okay, look at the live link number 07960239493. You got someone on the line already. Okay. Greetings. 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 Hello?
Hello?
Yes, greetings.
Greetings to you. How are you, Dougie?
Everything's crisp, man.
Everything's crisp, everything's cool out there, yeah?
Alright then. Do you have a question for us or a contribution?
I've got a comment to make. Yeah?
Yeah.
No, about pensions, right? That many people, right, when they get to retirement age, particularly in the 70 and above age group, they tend to want to go back to where they were born, yeah, abroad.
Yeah.
And when they go there,
yeah,
there's no proper planning.
Okay, so
about why they're going there. Yeah. When they get there, they find life has actually moved on. You know, they've been away for more than 3, 4, 5 decades, right? And they start living as if they were living in England here, like spending the money quick and fast. And the money goes, and they've got a problem coming back here. Yeah.
Okay. Listen, there's some feedback in the background there. You got the TV on or something? There's some noise.
I've got the TV on.
Sister, can you turn the TV off, please? You know.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry about that.
We can hear you. We can hear your some feedback. We definitely don't want to hear no TV business. You know.
All right.
Babylon. You know what I mean?
No. Okay. Yeah. All I'm saying to you that due to ill-prepared planning, a lot of people end up right in a worse situation by going back to where they were brought up, yeah, and expecting life to be the same, and then they're sitting on the comfort, I've got my pension, yeah? And living as if they're living in the UK, and when they get there, the money runs out.
Okay, yeah, all right.
There's that one, yeah, and there's also the fact that when they come back, when they get ill, then they want to come back to England to get so there benefits to be here.
Right.
Yeah? What do you think?
All right, then. I'm going to make Shaun to explain that. Shaun.
No, it's a really good observation,
good question,
my sister. Yeah. And one thing that what we do as an organization is we look at both retirement planning and legacy planning. And there's the need for people to always look into the future. You know, sometimes when I sit with people and they talk about their long-term plans, and I encourage them to clearly define now at this stage and find out how much will it cost to live where they're deciding to live, how much rent will they be needing to pay, or if they're going to build a property, how much exactly is it going to cost. Start budgeting now, and start having a contingency plan as well. Because, as you know, things very rarely go exactly to plan. And so retirement planning is something that is very important.
Don't you think it's more expensive to go back there and live an ideal that doesn't really exist anymore? Yeah?
I think it depends. I mean, some people have got sufficient retirement savings, particularly many of our elders who've worked specifically for one company for a long period of time, and although the income may not be sufficient to survive or have an adequate quality of life in this country, it certainly does enable them to have a good quality life, particularly if they've already built their home or built the property back home. So it's not always that way. It just comes down to planning. I think if people plan, then they're able to ascertain very early on what shortfalls that may arise in the future.
So many of them don't plan. We just go, and sometimes it doesn't always work out. Particularly because when I was when I was in Jamaica, this is 10 years ago. A lot of elderly people, right, who were sitting down in these big houses out there, and they haven't got a soul there. Yeah, all their connections are in the UK. Yeah, and they stay there, they vegetate, right. And some of when I next hear from them, they're in a elderly people's home, or they were found dead in the house. Yeah, because actually they're just sitting down there in these palaces that are empty. So it's quite sad.
It is sad, and it's in, I was speaking to a few people after the event on Sunday. Did you attend the event, my sister? Did you attend the event?
No. I've got an eye infection, so I couldn't come.
Okay, well, we'll be doing another one come the end of this month, so hopefully we'll see you there. But what I was referring to was the importance of planning. Okay, because in particular you mentioned many of our elders, they return back to the Caribbean or return back to parts of Africa for their retirement, and they've not set out a legacy plan. So when something happens, nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows where the will is. Nobody knows where the title deeds to the property is. Okay, nobody knows whose name is on the title deed to the property. And these are very important things which I'm bringing to the fore so we can start talking about these very important legal documents that ensure prosperity for our future generations. And when you hear, Brother Rafat speaking earlier about, the loss of our civil liberties, okay, when you take that and you add to the fact that as a community, as people, many of us are not planning effectively in terms of our legacy planning. And there's nothing wrong with sitting down with your family saying, look, if anything happens to me, by the way, this is where my will is. This is where the title deeds are to the property. This is who I want to know has control over these things. And so that there is future hope for our future generations, but more importantly, that everything that our elders, everything that we've worked for is not just lost to, whether it's the state, some individual or stranger, or to pay for some fees that were unexpected. We have to really grasp the importance of planning. And when we do return back to the Caribbean, if that's our plan, that we have set everything out for our family so they're not left bewildered or scratching their head and they find out that, some total stranger has taken control of the property and nobody knows what the title deed is, and this is the problems that we're facing. Confusion.
Something else I must actually say. A friend of mine, she's just made, her mother's just made a will, and the mother's left the property to my friend's son, that's it, and my friend is actually the person that's in charge of the property. And she goes, he's not getting it until he's 40 years of age, because then he can be able to understand how to spend money, and take responsibility for money, I've been thinking about that, and I'm thinking that many people in their 20s, 30s, they inherit money. I don't know what to do with it. Does that make any sense? And the parents of the property.
But I wonder if I could jump in here, right? Because
I was talking, Dougie. Hold on a second. The parents of the property, Yeah. Instead of leaving the property where it is, right, and just keep it in his investment, no, they go and sell it. And then they start fling the money all over the place. And then in 15 years' time from now, they want to have the benefit.
Yeah, but one other second, Paul, because I'm backing up what you're saying now, right? Because, you remember Saturday when you was here, someone phoned in and asked a question. It's a very good question, right? Right? If your family, say, immature your family, your kids are immature, right?
Yeah.
Right? She was saying, really, it's not really wise to leave a will with your children then, if you know they're going to squander the money, so to speak. Where it might be wise to leave an organization who will spend the money wisely. And I mean, I'm not bringing it to the mix because there be cases where the people get the money and them just squander the money, and all that kind of stuff there. Yeah. So, so I'm backing up what you're saying now, Sister Pauline. Yeah.
So there's a couple of things there. The first thing what we do is we encourage people to ensure their documents are kept in secure document storage so that nobody really knows what's in the will unless they tell them, people, okay? But what they will know is they will know what number to call and where to go to obtain the original documents. That's something we offer. It's called secure storage. Right. That enables you to make changes to your documents, again, ensuring that your family members, everybody who has some type of entitlement or playing some type of role, whether that's as an executor or as a trustee or as a beneficiary, they know where to go, or they know what number to phone, what reference number to quote in order to obtain the original trust deed and will. Second, moving on from that, where you have children who may not necessarily be shall we say, astute or responsible or responsible with things. That's where the trust is ideal for that type of scenario. You could take, for example...
Say that again. The
trust is ideal for that, because the trust, you appoint trustees to oversee the assets for the beneficiaries. And if you want the trust deed, these are legal documents. The same way, when you prepare an agreement, this is just an agreement at a very, very high level in relation to the assets you own. You're preparing an agreement and you're defining how that, how the individuals, the trustees, how they should act and what they're responsible for. And you can, as the settler, as the person preparing the trust, you can define what the trustees should do in relation to overseeing matters for the beneficiaries, the children who may not be as responsible, up until maybe a certain age, or whatever the case may be. There's just something there that, again, we go into great detail when we sit with clients to.
Can the trustees be responsible? Can they benefit under the will as well?
They can do, yeah. I mean, you can make trustees beneficiaries as well. Absolutely. I mean, take for example, I'm in a room here with my two brothers, Dougie and Rafat. Okay, so there's Dougie and Rafat, and let's say Dougie is my son, and Rafat is also my son. Okay, but Dougie is someone I feel would be better placed to have a more of a responsibility in ensuring that Rafat, his brother, doesn't squander his inheritance. So I can make Dougie a trustee, as well as a beneficiary. Dougie's my son. He has 50% entitlement to my estate, but he is the trust. I've appointed him as one of the trustees. Okay, I want Rafat, who is my second son, who's also here with me in the studio. I want Rafat to be, who's also my son, to be the other beneficiary, and he has 50% entitlement. Okay, but brother Dougie is Rafat's brother, and likewise he too is ensuring that his brother doesn't squander his inheritance, or squander the property, or sell the property, or whatever. So therefore I've appointed brother Dougie as one of the trustees. Do you understand? And then I could appoint somebody else, let's say my brother, okay, who is brother Dougie's and brother Rafat's uncle, who is neutral, as the second trustee. Okay?
Why?
Why would I want to do that? I would want to do that because that way the second trustee, the uncle, both brother Dougie and brother Rafat have respect for their uncle. Okay? And he acts as a mediator, as an overseer, to ensure that brother Rafat, who is also my son, his entitlement is received in without any problems caused by maybe any rift between the two brothers. And
do they both have to agree? The two trustees?
Absolutely, yes, yeah, absolutely. Trustees have to agree on everything. The thing is, while I'm alive, the trustees. While I'm alive, I'm in control. The trustees just do as I tell them to while I'm alive.
But when you're dead, when you're dead in the will,
when I've passed away, the assets remain in the trust. My son, who may not be as responsible, he's still got his entitlement. Okay, he's still a beneficiary. Okay, but I've appointed trustees to ensure that he and I define that trust deed. But one thing that we try to make very, very clear is that these are legal documents. This is black and white. Once it's written in into the system.
But the trust only comes into effect. I can make a will saying that I appoint you as a trustee, but that only happens after my death, isn't it?
Well, I'm pleased well, yes, in the will. Let me just make this very, very clear for anybody who's listening.
Confusing.
In your will, you would see the word trust or trustee. I appoint you as a trustee over the residue, over whatever's left after all of the death duties. Okay? The executor will hold the residue, whatever's left, on trust until The executor sorts out...
The
residue is whatever's left.
Whatever's left. Okay,
whatever's remaining after all costs.
Okay then. Okay.
And when you look at, consider what those costs are, and I spoke about them on Sunday, listing all of the costs. Those costs can wipe out the entire estate, and that's why, there are the problems that we see. These problems exist where there's nothing left by the time, all of the costs have been deducted.
Hold on a second. If you make a will, yeah. So if you're a trusted, if I make a will saying I've appointed you as a trustee, right, after my death, yeah. What duties would there be involved or incurred?
What costs? Okay.
Yeah, because as far as I'm concerned, I've made a will.
Yeah.
Everything's tied up in that, and that's it.
No.
Yeah, my sister, I'm pleased you've asked this question because this is a common mistake, and that's why I'm really beating the drum where this is concerned. So, the purpose of a will is to define who receives the residue of the estate, and the operative word in that statement is residue, whatever is left after costs or debts. And I'm going to list all of those costs to you. The first cost would be funeral expenses. That must come from the estate. And I was on air, give you an example of this. I was on air with Brother Dougie on a different station, and a young lady called in. She was sat at her desk, and she works for a local authority, and she said, my job is to try and find the family members of somebody who is deceased in our borough. We try our best to find them. If we can't find them, we have to pay for the funeral. We will sell the house to pay for the funeral. Okay? Because...
Right. So the first... but they would avoid death duties, wouldn't they?
So no, I'm just going through all of the... What's classed as death duties are all of the costs in relation to passing away. So there's your funeral expenses. Then there's probate. Now, probate is the term given to the administrative process of winding up your estate, meaning to transfer the assets from your name legally into your beneficiary's name. That process is called probate. Probate. And a bank will probably do probate for about 6% to 7% of the value of the estate. So if the estate is worth £500,000, yes?
Yes.
Then that in itself, you're looking at about, at a 5%, about £25,000 for probate. And again, if the family don't have the liquid cash to pay that, or there isn't surplus savings to pay that, then the house or whatever assets are there are liquidated to cover that expense.
Yeah, they just sell the house and cover the expenses.
Yes.
Is there any way that could be avoided, just like making a straightforward will?
I'm going to come on to that, my sister, but let me continue with the costs, okay? Please, because there's more. Then there's inheritance tax. If the estate is over 325,000, if you're single, then you pay 40% inheritance tax. Okay, that has the ability to take a huge chunk of the estate. And then, of course, if there are any liabilities outstanding, like mortgages or loans, those need to be paid off as well. And then if there are any other debts associated with care fees, if the person requires care for any reason throughout, maybe from dementia or Alzheimer's, or they need to be in some type of care home because they had maybe a stroke or something like that, then any care fees would need to be deducted from the estate as well. And that has the ability to wipe out literally everything. So those
How
are
would you
the
safeguard
duties
that happening? I mean,
okay, so when you write a will, let me just come back to my earlier point. When you write a will, you leave the residue, whatever's left after all of those costs, on trust with the executor, because you choose the executor, but you've not protected your assets with a trust. All you've said is, whatever all the costs come out, the executor, I'm leaving it in the executor's control under trust, yes, to sort everything out and pay off the debts, pay the inheritance tax, sort out the probate, pay my funeral, sort everything, and then whatever's left, I leave it to the executor on trust to give whatever's left to my beneficiaries. That's the purpose of
hold on a second.
will.
Can you repeat that again slowly, one more time?
Okay, so in a will, you will see the word trust, but it's not the same as creating a trust. Or putting your assets in trust. It's something totally different. In your will, what you're stating there is that the residue, whatever's left after you've passed away, all of the costs have been deducted, and you're leaving it down to the executor. That's the person responsible for sorting out your estate, passing it, making sure that it passes on to your beneficiaries. But it's whatever's left, whatever's remaining after costs. And I went through all of the death duties, all of the costs. Yeah. That's what the executor is being held accountable to do on trust. Okay? Legally on trust to pay off all the debts, and then whatever's left, pay the beneficiaries. So the will only states that process. That's what the will does. Okay. So now what we need to do, and what we do as an organization, what we specialize with our legal partners, who we work with, who specialize specifically in this particular area of law, formulating trusts of their own, legal documents, trust deeds that protect the assets, okay, and ensure generational wealth planning. Ensure generational wealth. So,
for example, just before I go, one final question, right?
Yes. Good questions, but keep firing.
But it's got people on the phone as well, you see. So make it the final question, because people
come along to the event, my sister, to the next one.
Because people want to phone in. So make it your final question, my sister, please.
Right, I've got two children, for argument's sake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want them to remain in that house, right, until the end of their days. Yeah.
Yes.
How can I guarantee that they will stay there?
You need to call our office
legally.
Call our office, and then we will be able to make sure that your wishes are upheld legally. You need to call our office. Can I ask you a couple of questions, if I may? Because this is really good.
That's been nice, because there's people trying to phone in.
People trying to phone in. Okay, my sister, let me give you our phone number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our phone number is 0. You got a pen and paper?
Yes.
Okay, it's 0208.
Yeah.
226
2120. 2120.
Yes, that's 0208 226 2120. Do you have access to the internet at home or on your phone?
I do, yes.
Okay, then visit our website as well. It might give you some insight into some of the things. The website is www.
Yeah.
Affinity, which is AFF.
Activity.
INITY.
INITY.
TY, yeah. Affinity. The next word is legacy. LEGACY.
Affinity Legacy.
Yes. .com.
AffinityLegacy.com.
Okay, my sister, stay tuned in, because I'm going to keep answering your question throughout the show.
Okay, give thanks for your contribution. Yep.
All right then. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. That was a very good question. I know people want to ask questions. So the live link number is 07960 239 493. I know that Brother Mark is looking to phone in. He wants to give a critique of the event what took place on Monday. So anyway, people phoning. So Shaun, while you're there, can you just again give out your details?
Sure.
Again.
Yes.
Right. And I know why people phoning. I wondered, because I think the only thing about trust to me that needs to hammer home, because I mean
it really does need
to be hammer home. You know.
I mean, I picked up and I've already got all of our consultants already dealing with the inquiry. So people who did submit an inquiry form or request a consultation on Sunday, they will be receiving a call from one of our consultants over the next few days if they've not actually already received them, because it is a big issue. With
okay, someone's on the line there. Greetings. Oh, feel free to phone back. Sorry.
No problem. So, what I think is important that I convey is, because many people may not exactly know who I am or what we do or anything like that. We are a company that specialize in legacy planning. Okay, legacy planning. It's legal work. We work with legal specialists who specialize specifically in the particular area of trust law, wills and probate and property and conveyancing, divorce and matrimonial issues, as well as business and dispute. And all of these matters on a legal level are important where trusts are concerned.
Greetings, Dougie.
Yeah. Sorry, we've got someone on the line here. Sorry, brother Shaun.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yes, my brother. Let's know your name.
Greetings.
Yes, my brother.
Dougie, greetings, Shaun. It's me, Dave.
Yes, Dave.
I must say how great and wonderful the occasion was on Sunday, and it's a marvelous turnout. And I must say that for people wondering whether I should come down next time, that it's definitely a must, because you would get a lot of knowledge and information. The other thing I was going to actually ask Shaun, which kind of came to mind when you were speaking to the woman, and I've had this also thought on my mind from before. You see, in relation to a trust, you see when people actually get their pension being paid to the Caribbean and the government take a percentage, does the trust actually protect the person from that actually happening, or reduces, or if there's any implications?
Where pensions are concerned, it's separate, and it's an income from the pension, and you pay income tax on that. Unfortunately, that's got nothing to do with securing the property or maybe other assets that the individual has in a trust. The securing of the other assets that the person has, such as property or savings and maybe shares or antiques or paintings or something of value, by securing those elements in a trust, those other assets that they have, it just safeguards them in the event of anything happening, like they pass away, or they require care, or they get divorced, or their bloodline. That's what the trust is for. Pensions are, although they are a form of trust, they are different. They're totally different in that you will receive at some point when you retire, you will receive an income from that pension, that pensions trust, and you will then pay income tax on that. The reason why we pay tax on our pension income is because we've had tax relief, meaning we've not paid tax on the money going into the pension. Okay? So when the money goes in, if it's a private pension, meaning people are paying the money after their wages, then the pension company claims tax back from HMRC. But when you're paying in with your employer, it goes in before you pay tax, before you pay your income tax. That enables that money to go in tax-free, so you've got more money invested for your retirement. And then when you do choose to retire, you have the first 25% tax-free. You can take that as a lump sum. The remaining amount you pay tax on when you take the income.
Great, that sounds good. One more question, because I'm conscious of the time and other people trying to get in, and Mark phoning. One of the questions someone did ask me while I was at the event on Sunday, if you could explain the power, how the power of attorney works in relation to, setting up a trust or in a trust in motion.
I'm so pleased you spoke about lasting power of attorney, because that was something I was going to speak about on Sunday, and it's something I'll be speaking about certainly at the next event. Lasting power of attorney is, listen, everybody must prepare a lasting power of attorney. It's a must. It literally is one of those things that you cannot do without. The reason being is it's the only way you can ensure that the state does not deal with your affairs if you lose mental capacity. And this is something very important we must put in place for our elders as well, and for ourselves as individuals. But our elders, shall we say, are a little bit more vulnerable. So your parents, maybe your aunties and uncles, particularly if they have savings, okay? Because if they do not appoint someone to act on their behalf in the event of them losing mental capacity, everything, their bank accounts, everything becomes frozen, okay? And literally every time something is catered for, whether it is paying the gas bill or paying the mortgage or something, there's a fee, there's a charge, okay? And they can literally just wipe out the estate. And when I do the presentation on the forthcoming event, I'll be talking about that and sharing some real horror stories where the state, the deputies, whether maybe the state has appointed a firm of solicitors or something who are charging. Naturally, they charge for their time. Every time they write a letter, they're charging 165 pounds. Every time they make a phone call, they're charging 55 pounds. And they're doing that on a monthly basis and literally just taking money from your account, to cover their fee. So it's really important when you have savings to have produced a lasting power of attorney to ensure that should you lose mental capacity, your family or somebody can still deal with your financial affairs for you, and they can still access your bank accounts and deal with your deal with all of your personal matters where your finances are concerned. Then of course there's a different lasting power of attorney for health and welfare, and this one is equally just as important, because if you've lost mental capacity, it's the only way that somebody can act on your behalf and talk on your behalf, down to the food you're eating, down to the clothes that you're wearing, down to whether you want to have you want to allow somebody to have a say over life-sustaining support, life-sustaining treatment, even down to your day trips if they're allowed to take you out. There was a story once. This is in the press, and I'll share it next time I present. Ultimately, it was a lady. She wasn't happy with the care that her mother was receiving in the nursing home where she was, and she kept speaking to the care home about the level of care her mother was receiving. To no improvement was forthcoming. So she decided to take it upon herself to remove her mother from the care home where she was and bring her mother to her own house. Okay, to her own house to care for her there. Literally a few hours passed. Police knocked at the door, and cautioned her, and put her mother back into the care home because she didn't have the power of attorney. She didn't have any say over, again, like I was mentioning, the type of food that she eats, the type of clothes that she eats, where she goes, when she goes. No power at all. And for us as a people, this is really important as Africans and Caribbeans, because we have our own cultural norms. We know better. We can understand our parents better and our loved ones better than anybody. We can communicate with them better than anybody. So whether that is speaking to the doctors or speaking to any medical professional, having somebody appointed with the power of attorney is so important. I mean, it's just as important. It is just as important as writing a will. Everybody must have lasting power of attorney. Everybody. Okay. These are things that the state doesn't tell you. And what's worse is if you don't appoint somebody to be your attorney and something does happen to you, and while yes, dementia and Alzheimer's are prevalent amongst all people, you don't have to necessarily lose mental capacity through old age. You can have an accident at work. You just got to stand in A&E for half an hour, and you'll see. I mean, life is just that way. Life is fragile, and so if you don't appoint an attorney, and the court of protection, or it's also referred to as the office of the public guardian, if they've appointed they've become appointed, then the family have to apply to the courts for deputyship, and the application is about £2,000 plus.
Wow.
Plus, it's at the judge's discretion whether you receive that deputyship, meaning you have some say or not. So it's really important to get the power of attorney in place first, and that's what we do. We do lasting power of attorney. We do all legal matters relating to legacy planning and ensuring wealth passes on effectively. Now, you can imagine, you've got one of our clients, we've set up a trust for them, they've got a will, okay, but they lose mental capacity, okay. Naturally, it's important that we also inform people and implement and take action and advise people. You must have the lasting power of attorney, because while you've got all of this set up, if you lose mental capacity, who's going to be responsible? You're still alive. You've not passed away. You're still alive. Therefore, you must have your attorneys appointed.
Right. Can I just say, just on the point you mentioned about, deputyship, is that quite a lengthy process, I could imagine?
It is. It is a lengthy process. The application takes months, plus